Welcome back, everybody, to the D.O.G podcast. I'm Drew. This is German with us. This is two-time Thanksgiving Day MVP. We got OC the G, former offensive coordinator, JV football. Now the STD. I mean S. I mean special teams coordinator and running back coach from Dare High Football.
How long have you been hanging on to that one,
I was just
bro?
thinking about that on my way home from work today. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna add a little bio to this guy.
You had a good day today, huh? You getting creative? Your or your Cowboys just beat the Giants.
Yes,
You
sir.
look like you're kind of still like antsy.
Dude,
You're like a little
I'm on
shaky
I'm
right
on
now.
I'm on cloud 10 right now, dude. I skipped past cloud 9. I'm on cloud 10 right now, dude. Cooper Rush. Don't rush
Uh,
to count out the Cowboys.
let's talk about I think the best game from the weekend. Let's talk about
Cooper
the
Rush and the Cowboys.
no. Don't get ahead of yourself. Let's talk about Tua beating Josh Allen and the Bills in Miami. OC, what did you think, man?
Um, I thought that the defense showed out. Tua didn't have the game that he had last week or the second
Yeah.
half that he had last week, but he really stepped up after having that concussion, or I'm sorry, his back tightened up, and
Yeah.
came back into the game, kind of stabilized a couple drives that kind of gave him the edge, and
Hmm.
on that touchdown drive to put him ahead late in the fourth quarter, he made a crucial 3rd and 22 throw to Jalen Waddle that kind of put them inside the five
Right.
6 yard line. That kind of gave him the lead, and then the defense had two massive stops under 2 minutes to
Big time.
solidify the win. So I think the defense kind of stepped up. Even Tua said after the game, like, I don't like this is a thing about this team. Like, one week it could be me, the next week it could be our defense. Like, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
We'll just take the win however they get it.
Drew, would you see that the Dolphins were able to like, I guess you can say, make Josh Allen play down a level, like because he didn't really play like at the level he normally plays. Why do you think the defense were able to do that to him?
They were a nuisance on all aspects of the defense,
Hmm.
and they were a nuisance on all aspects of the offense. The only thing that they really struggled on as a team was just special teams. But overall, the defense, man, they were doing everything right. They were getting to Josh Allen. They were playing great coverage downfield. Linebackers were covering laterally from sideline to sideline. It was just all around, from a defense or an offensive perspective for Josh Allen, annoying, right? You really couldn't get anything
Right.
going, rolling. Like you were able to get positive yards and make plays and score, but it wasn't very consistent. The defense was always there. They were always putting pressure
Hmm.
on Josh Allen. All in all, I think it was a great game from the defense.
Yeah, I agree. Like I feel like they kind of did the same where they were what they did with Lamar Jackson. I guess was it last week or the week before, where they kept giving them that cover zero look and they just kept everything in the box to them. And I feel like quarterbacks were, especially running quarterbacks, are kind of having trouble, having those looks right or making adjustments to that. Is that what you think happened, OC? Like you think it's like that cover zero just kind of just blew
Well,
Josh Allen's mind a little bit?
not the first drive because Allen went right down the field and
Yeah.
scored
Uh,
for
Yeah,
what he made pretty quick work of the Dolphins defense on that first drive to start the
right.
game, which was like his eighth straight game that he leads a touchdown on the first drive.
Mm-hmm.
He like you said, they gave him a lot of color. The cover zero, it was basically the all or nothing defense from Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Either they were gonna get to him and sack him for a loss, or they were gonna give up a first down every single time. Like
Right.
it was just so they were banking on like making him try to look confused and try to get him to be like to get him to scramble and
Mm-hmm.
just try to get him to feel uncomfortable. But it was all or nothing defense, and like it, I think the second half it kind of showed because you saw the fatigue. You started seeing guys like Diggs cramp up. You started
Right.
seeing Allen start to get frustrated. They
Mm-hmm.
ran they ran what 90 offensive snaps compared to Miami only had 39 snaps that game.
Down in that hot
And
sun in Miami.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which it took a toll because guys were cramping. They looked
Mm-hmm.
gassed. I think Josh Allen after the game said it was like he had trouble breathing at times because of the
Really.
humidity and the heat. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was just like taking a toll on that whole
Mm-hmm.
entire sideline because the way they set that stadium up, the visiting team is stuck in the sun the whole
They get the
time.
sun. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they also had issues with their offensive line, right? I feel like I saw a couple of their offensive linemen kind of limp off, and I think that kind of made a difference, especially in that fourth quarter. Um, what was interesting is like, do you remember right before halftime where Josh Allen had the chance to snap it and they had a chance for a field goal? He kind of bobbled the snap a little bit, right?
yeah. Well, that's their backup center. He wasn't their starter,
Right.
so
Yeah.
he's been out a couple weeks. So maybe that had
Mhm.
partially something to play into that fumbled snap, and they ended up running out of time, which might have been the difference because that could have been an easy three for them to go up at the half.
And I mean, it made a difference in the game, right? Like,
Yeah,
with the smallest of margins. And then there at the second or at the end of the game too, they had another chance to spike the ball, but I guess just couldn't because I think what was it? The receiver got tackled with like 10 seconds left, and they still
yeah.
just didn't have enough time to get on the ball and spike it, which
I know that feeling.
not having enough time to spike it. And then Drew, did you have that same reaction that our OC that what's his name, the Bills offensive coordinator had? Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah,
Oh
we were
yeah.
sitting there laughing. We're like, hey, damn, that's a legend right there, Ken Dorsey, University of Miami. So
Right.
it was kind of nice to see to because Miami's usually like the last couple of years they've been on the other side of that. They come up short, and
Right.
now you have basically everyone in the world picked against the Dolphins, and you're just like, finally, and we talked about it last week. If Miami's gonna contend, they have to be able to win at home against the Bills, and they did that.
Hmm. No, yeah, and it
Yeah,
was it. Go ahead.
I think that frustration from the OC is just like a whole like uh, a portrayal of the way like Buffalo's been the last few years, right? They're really good, but not quite good enough to get to the next level. And here they go. They're probably the favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. They
Hmm.
start off 2-0. They go down to Miami to prove their dominance, win this game, and kind of put a little clamp on the AFC East, right? Kind of show that their dominance, and they lose, and it's just another frustrating loss where they really couldn't take over the game like they've been able to. It reminded me a lot of that Kansas City game that they lost to last year. And anytime they did something, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs came back and they did something else, and that's exactly what Tua did. Tua always countered everything, and that defense, they never got tired. They kept going the entire game. It's just all in all frustrating game, and so you can really see it right there when the OC just absolutely loses his shit.
Did you guys see the guy that covered up the camera there at the end?
Yeah, like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
I thought he just
looking out for your boy.
cut it.
I thought it was a tablet that he threw that kind of covered it. I didn't know somebody had covered it.
Yeah, at first it did look like something like flew into the camera, like he had threw something into it, but it was somebody on the other side that covered that camera and looking out for the boy. They were like, "Oh shit, dude, everybody's gonna see this
Yeah.
shit." And
Yeah, it
then like,
was.
what are the odds that they're that the NFL or whoever's broadcasting the game is capturing that moment and said like, "Yeah, we're putting this shit everywhere."
Yeah, hell yeah, put it on.
Just immediately as it's happening, just hey, we're gonna cut to this real quick.
It picked up.
Check
They
it.
picked up gold, man. That's one of the best reactions I had ever seen in my entire life. Do you guys think like the Bills losing and now they kind of get like that little monkey off their back of like going undefeated? Like we always see like teams when they have like a 10-0 streak or an 11-0 streak, and teams are people are thinking like, oh, they're gonna go ahead, they're gonna go undefeated, and there's that little added pressure. Do you think that pressure's off of them now? Or do you think that it's still the pressure's still the same?
I think, yeah, what you're saying, just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, but I think they needed to win that game to prove their dominance. Now that
Mm-hmm.
you hear a lot of these rumors that Miami is the up and coming team in the East, it's supposed to be Josh Allen and the Bills' time to shine, and they
Mm-hmm.
lost a big game on the road. But yeah, I think it does help relieve a little bit of pressure because like you said, I mean, what the Steelers were 11-0 a couple years ago, and they just had a meltdown.
Right.
I think it helps a little bit, but that's not the game that you want to lose. That's the game that you need to win to secure your dominance in the
Mm-hmm.
division.
What do you think, OC?
I think it does take a little bit of pressure off. That way they don't have to go like hearing the they're still undefeated talk. But
Mm-hmm.
like Andrew said, like it stings a little bit more because you lost to a division rival.
Right.
So it kind of hurts more. And standing wise, they're
Mm-hmm.
they're one ahead of you already. And then So that's the way I look at it. So it's
Mm.
good and bad for them. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough division either way, but like now it's kind of cool to see that at the same time that the Bills are starting to make a come up, that the Dolphins are starting to make a come up, right? Like it kind of that whole adage of like iron sharpens iron, and like you get to play this team twice. That kind of makes you better, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it should because like at the end of the day, like you're probably gonna be fighting with them to see who's gonna take home field advantage
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna get into the playoffs, and that win might play a factor in deciding the division. You know, so because you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what happens down the line. That's why it was crucial for Tua to come back into that game to kind of like stabilize the offense to make sure they can put it away. You know, or at least
Mm-hmm.
give themselves a chance to win it.
Right.
Can we just talk about how Tua like loses his all sense of awareness and then comes back onto the field and wins the game?
Yeah, let's talk
Like
about that,
the
dude.
dude couldn't stand up straight.
This is back. This is back.
He looked like Patrick Mahomes. Remember in that year that they were gonna go in
The AFC
or
title game.
the AFC title game where he was kind of just he was like limping. Like everybody was saying, oh, it's a neck injury. It's not a concussion or anything like that. It's just. Do you guys think
Crazy.
there's a little bit of a bullshittery going on when it comes to your quarterback getting concussed? You know, because had that been any other player on the field, they would have been out, right? But because it was a
I
quarterback,
think so.
I think so too. OC, what do you think?
Well, I'm sitting there at halftime, and me and my cousins are looking at like all the reports, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, questionable head injury." Then
Head
like
injury.
2 minutes before the third quarter starts, Tua's warming up. He's going back in. I mean, what just happened in that locker room that you're gonna let this kid come back out after he
He
just fell?
he looked like Bambi when he tried to get up and then like try to walk again. Like it was just he didn't look right because I thought at first he like hurt his leg or something or like he felt like maybe it a cramp or something, but you see it, it's like it's straight up concussed, dude. Like
You
there's
see
no
his head.
question.
You see his head wobble.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think Milano just gave him enough push to where his the back of his head hit the ground, right? And he had like that
Hmm.
whip flash effect, which that sucks, you know. And for him to get up and then just start wobbling, and for everybody to be like, "Oh no, he's okay. He just got a little dazed. Nothing."
I'm
Or
telling
what you
you,
say it was a back injury?
Yeah,
Okay.
they said his back tightened up.
Yeah. Okay. What
whoever
Drew?
cleared him from Miami would have cleared that kid from Tulsa too. That's where he played, right? Poor guy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, they brought up a good point. Like, they said, I don't know, because now they have the NFL doctors on site, so like
Mm-hmm.
you can't bullshit like and use your own doctors and be like, no, he's coming back in. Like
Right.
they have independent doctors now that clear the player. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Does this independent doctor follow Miami all year long, and then the Bills have a guy? Because I mean, if that's the case, I'm gonna say you gotta kind of rotate these guys out because you get a sense of bias. By the time you're week 16, you're pulling for the team,
yeah.
right?
So you got to rotate them like refs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like rotate them like refs. Yeah, I
What I
don't know. It
think,
just seemed a little fishy to me.
what I think at the end of the day, the only because if you're the NFL, right, and then you're broadcasting probably the most watched game in the country at that moment, and one of the starting quarterbacks goes out, doesn't that kind of pull a little air out of the stadium, a little bit of energy out of the game, right? Because if Teddy Bridgewater would have finished that game wouldn't have been nowhere near as interesting, right? So do you think maybe that kind of benefits the NFL where they're like, hey, I mean, let's keep them in because there's probably millions of people watching this game right now. It's the most
So,
anticipated matchup of the week. Go
so
ahead,
you're
Drew.
saying the NFL is like we don't give a shit about your career and your health. How about we keep our views up?
I mean,
That's what you're going with.
maybe, dude. I mean, because if you're broadcasting the most anticipated game of the week and one of the starting quarterbacks goes down at halftime, you know, you're kind of just like, oh man. Like we were there in this OC. We were there in the stadium when SC played Fresno State, and when Fresno State's quarterback went down, then that pulled the energy out of the stadium completely.
Yeah, it takes a little bit off like the crowd, and then like you're just like whatever. Like this isn't the same game anymore because you
Right.
know the kid isn't in there anymore. So
Because you know it like,
you're
oh, okay, this is it's no longer going to be competitive anymore. Like it's no longer interesting.
Yeah, because
you
you
know.
already know like this is gonna take a step back or two.
Right, and then everybody else kind of around the world or around the country just flips to another game because it's convenient for them, right? And then there goes the ratings for that game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me and my conspiracy theory head. I'm always against the man, against the corporations. Um, anything else
Can we
he
just
goes? Go ahead.
real quick, just so we're clear, every quarterback in the league short hops balls or throws footballs that are short. There's this narrative around Tua where he was like
That he
doing
underthrows
it
everyone.
more. Yeah, but Josh Allen on that 4th and goal with 2 minutes left, short hops the ball to his guy.
It was
Right.
a shitty throw,
It was
but by
pretty. It was
far
pretty
one
Yeah,
of his
bad.
and
worst
Yeah.
throws.
it's and I wasn't even mad. I'm just like, it happens. Every guy throws a short ball. Like you're
Mm.
gonna throw 60 times a game. You're not gonna throw 60 perfect footballs.
Daniel Jones did it like 5 times tonight.
Oh, yeah,
But
he
see, like
did.
but
But
it
I mean,
happens, you know.
it's just it's the fundamental stuff, right? Then I mean, when it's especially when it's a high intense game like that, the fundamentals are eventually going to kind of go out the window, and you kind of just got to do your thing. Josh Allen kind of just let one go there at the end of the game because he had him. Like I mean, nine
Yeah,
out of 10 times he probably makes that
Yeah.
throw, right?
but I'm just saying,
And
like Tua's for whatever reason get amplified, you know. And it's just like every guy makes the bad throws. Every guy.
Tua's never going to get a
Well,
shot, man.
you know what I find mind blowing? I think Tua's biggest haters are Miami fans, and I think
Hey, I would agree with you.
the most critics that come out of his throws are all Miami fans. There's not that many
Yeah.
people around the country that give a shit about Tua underthrowing Tyreek Hill, but the Miami fans that I think blow it out of proportion. I think I was a little skeptical on Tua, but I mean he's proving me wrong right now. I probably go all in on Tua.
Yeah, I mean he's playing all right, but Drew, to that point, I mean, isn't every quarterback most critical fans or critical people are their own fans, right?
Not
Like
Dak
look at,
Prescott. Not Dak Prescott. Let me tell you that right now.
but I mean
Cowboy
Dak.
fans love Dak Prescott. Everyone else
Okay,
in the
but look,
country hates
okay,
him.
look at like someone like Derek Carr, who's probably the most critical about Derek Carr is probably Raider fans.
Raider fans.
Same thing with Garoppolo. Same thing with
I
any
think,
other.
but Raider fans all hate. Like every Raider fan hates everyone no matter what.
Just no matter
Hey,
what, they
It's
can
just
have
no matter
Aaron
what.
Rodgers under center and they'll still hate
Aaron
him.
Rodgers, Tom Brady, they're still gonna hate him.
I think that's. I
hey,
feel like that's a shot at Raider fans.
it's
no,
true.
but I've heard it. Hey, shout out to my boys at Barber's App, but we have this conversation like
Castro.
every couple of weeks. Every
Uh-huh.
couple of weeks, like Joe, Cash, Edward, like they're done with Carr. They're done with him.
They all want him out. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it's like if he can't figure it out now, like 6-7 years into the league, like what are you waiting for? You know, you brought in Devontae. You try to help him out with an offensive mind, and you're still stuck at 0-3. You're the only team that hasn't won in the league. You know, and last year in the playoffs, you know, Derek throws that interception inside the. We're basically going in to score to at least tie the game or win it potentially. And these guys are just fed up with it because it's like you have all these weapons: Waller, Renfro, Adams, and you still can't get it done.
Mm-hmm. You think
Staying
that's the
on this
common
topic.
denominator? Oh, go ahead.
Staying on this topic about the Raiders, despite them being 0-3, I was thinking last night watching that Niners Broncos games, I still take the Raiders over the Broncos.
Possibly. I mean, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Seeing because Russell Wilson is definitely struggling, but then you seen the drive yesterday. Somehow, some way, Russell Wilson does Russell Wilson things, and he kind of starts playing like his own self. He starts making runs. Like I think one of the commentators said it last night is like when you see Russell Wilson play out a script, those are all his highlights, right? When he's
Yeah.
like when the play breaks down, he gets to do his thing. I feel like the Broncos haven't given him that freedom to do that, right? Because I mean, you're protecting your $250 million investment, right? And plus, he's getting older. He's up there in age. I think he's the same age as Bradford or Matthew Stafford. So maybe the Broncos are kind of trying to take a different route with him. But when Russell Wilson does his thing, you can see what he can do, right? And then, you
Yeah.
know, so. But you guys think that the common denominator there in Oakland is Carr? Like, do you think this is his last chance? Like, if you can't make it work with these weapons and with this head coach, is it time for the Raiders to start shopping?
I think that's
Anybody?
tough. I
If
do
you
I
if you
do
if
I
you,
do
you ask
agree.
that fan base, then yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't do it with Devontae, I mean, he was. You guys have history now. I understand a game or two knocking off the rust, getting back on the same page, but they got a lot of history together. I mean, they're best friends. They played so well in college together. I mean, you see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase did it all last season, like
Mhm.
instantly. So I think you need to start looking at results now. And if it's not going to happen this year, I don't think you blame Devontae Adams. I think you blame Derek Carr.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like I remember you were high on Devonte Adams and Carr pairing together
Mm-hmm.
earlier this year, and I just said like, okay, yeah, they have chemistry together, but the thing is that doesn't always translate
Yeah.
into the game. You know,
Yeah. Right now
like
it's not.
yeah, I mean, good quarterbacks can do that with anybody. You see all the different receivers that Tom Brady had, all the different receivers that Aaron Rodgers had, and and the list goes on and on. Carr has never had that year. All of a sudden, he's not just going to turn it on just because he's got one of his best buds out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has weapons. He had Waller. He had weapons in the past, So it's not. I don't think he's automatically going to turn it on. I thought they were going to start shopping maybe last year or the year before. They could have. They honestly could have made a big move for a quarterback. But they went ahead made a big move for a wide receiver, which is cool. But now you have nobody to get them. Or you don't have much to get them the ball, right? And then you see like the 2 point conversion play at the end of the game, where he kind of just tries to toss it up for Darren Waller. Any other quarterback, I think Tua would have made a play, right? Like at least get out of the pocket, move around a little bit. He kind of just panicked and just threw it up. And so I think definitely it is on Carr. Um, Saying on the theme of terrible quarterbacks, let's talk about Jimmy now. Fucking Jimmy G, dude. What did you think, OC?
I think the punters were the players of the game. That's what I
Pretty much.
think.
We had like what 2 or 3 that were inside the 1 yard line or inside the 2 yard
Yeah, you
line.
had that one where your gunner or whatever batted it back when it was like almost gonna touch
It
the
was
end
like a
zone.
it was like a yard into the end zone, and he like
Is
jumped
it?
and
I thought it was a
bought it back.
touchback.
Yeah,
I guess it
it was
wasn't
very
enough to
close.
overturn it. It was
Yeah,
pretty
I guess
close.
not.
Yeah.
But it's like
But
they started off like there's what was it the second or third drive they go down and he
Right.
leads the drive down the field and I'm like, oh, he doesn't look that bad.
Right.
And then you watch the rest of the game and you're like, oh my god, this is bad.
Yeah.
after the game, I was thinking there's got to be someone that knows the stat out there. How many blown leads does Jimmy G have? Because you think of some of the biggest games that he's lost, he has the lead. The Super Bowl, he had the
Mhm.
lead. The
The
NFC
NFC
Championship
champ,
last
yeah.
year, he had the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, he had the lead. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got the lead a lot. He has a good couple of first halves, and then they blow it. And then, I mean, even the playoff game that they beat the Cowboys in, I mean, they had the lead, and it was a bigger lead, and the Cowboys have a
He
small little
almost blew
comeback.
it too. Yeah.
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 So he's got to be one of the biggest chokes as of late at blowing leads. He can't put the game away.
Well, he's not a prime time quarterback. Like a prime time quarterback is, like I said it before, is going to be able to put a team on their back and make at least 1 or 2 plays to where you're going to pull yourself, into that next level. Jimmy just doesn't have that capacity. Like
Hmm.
and then if anything, he costs the game yesterday. He had what fumbled the snap. He threw an interception. He walked out of the back of the end zone. That's awareness. That's him being scared. He looked pretty crisp. He looked good on that drive where they went down and scored the touchdown, and then just nothing afterwards. And he looked flustered. Like he felt like it was like a snowball effect for him. Like one thing just led to another, and he just got worse as the game progressed. Um, but it's just like I told you guys yesterday. It's just like everybody. The week before we showed why we kept Jimmy, and then this
Hmm.
week we showed why nobody wanted Jimmy. you
Yeah.
know, like all in the same week, and it's crazy to me to think that he's been in the league for this long already and still making kind of like those basic fundamental mistakes, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so let's play the hypothetical then. Do they make the playoffs this year if Jimmy plays like that?
If he
He
plays
plays
that
last
way,
night. No.
no, no. If he's turning the ball over, no. The only thing I think like what was his saving grace the couple years before where they did make those runs is that he would protect the football. That he wasn't making mistakes like that were outrageous that were like turning the ball over. And I feel like that's like the difference between him and Carr. Carr does have the capacity to make a big play, but he also like rolls the dice a lot more than Garoppolo does, right? Like
He'll take chances.
yeah, he'll take chances, and it's either going to be a really good play for him, or he's going to dive for the end zone and fumble, and there goes the touchback, costing them the game, right? Which he's done multiple times in his career. You know, Jimmy's not going to make that dive, which he's not going to have that big play, but he's also not going to make a super devastating play. If he starts making super devastating plays like he did last night, then yeah, they're not making the playoffs for sure.
There's
You good, man? You got an intruder in your house?
yeah, did you hear that?
Yeah. Did we just capture a ghost?
That was the loudest bang. Hey, give me 1 second. Hold on.
Andrew
This,
just
this,
goes.
this is gonna go viral, dude. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of a horror movie where we witness his death.
And this is how it starts.
This is how it starts, yeah, and it starts coming after all of us. Some Final Destination shit. You good, dude?
Dude, I walk out there. I'm like, guys, what was that? They're like, what? We didn't hear nothing. You heard that though, right?
I heard it. It's
I
on.
heard
Jesus.
It's on video. Like we caught it on video.
What the fuck was that?
You scared now?
Yeah, bro. It's like it's that scene in a movie. You guys are gonna watch me. Someone's gonna creep up from underneath the desk and fucking chop me up.
Yeah.
No
that's
one
what I
else
told-
heard it, but I heard it.
No, I heard it. It picked it up on video, so we have evidence.
God damn, that scared the shit out of me.
You good now?
Okay. Yeah. What were we talking about?
I forgot. Where did we leave off? We said the hypothetical, right? That the
Oh,
the Niners,
okay. Yeah. I know
Yeah.
what I was saying. Okay. So, looking at the NFC as a whole, I think even with a mediocre Jimmy G, the Niners will make the playoffs. Just because there's a lot of like top tier teams in the NFC, and then it kind of like just drops down. Like after that, there's not a lot of competition. I think in the NFC, and with 3 wild card spots, I think the Niners will find some way to keep giving Debo the ball, and he'll be able to take over this team and carry them to the playoffs.
And
But definitely, I mean, if Jimmy's plays as bad as he did last night, then definitely not. I
Right.
think a mediocre Jimmy can get you guys to the playoffs.
Not a terrible Jimmy, right?
Not a terrible Jimmy.
Now let me ask you guys this: Are you guys in on the Eagles? Or are you guys still not giving them the time of day?
Not giving him the time of day. Come on, why would you ask? me that question?
Coming from the Cowboy fan, OC.
No, but
a little bit more biased.
Unbiasedly, no, they really haven't anyone that's like super dominating, right? They haven't played anyone that is super good. I mean, they fucking blew up the Commanders, and the Commanders haven't done shit all season.
Right.
So I need to see them play someone good before I can be all in. Those good, but I mean, what happened to the Cardinals last year? They were 7-0, right? And they were frauds. So I need to see them play someone good.
With another Oklahoma quarterback. Makes sense. I would go with that. That's not a bad way to put it, because I mean they could, we've seen it before, like even with the Steelers, right? That year that you mentioned earlier, where they went like 11-0, and then they kind of just fell apart once they started playing, real, teams that were real contenders. So
Well,
yeah, that's a good point.
Look at who they beat. They beat Carson Wentz. They beat Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. So
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
So when you
We're-
beat
we're
the
not
Rams
talking
or
about
you
league
beat Brady, if you beat Rodgers, I'll give you your flowers. Like you
Yeah.
earned it.
Let's
But-
talk about Brady and Rodgers, man. Let's talk about the Bucks, kind of, I guess, screwing it up there at the end with the delay of game on the 2-point conversion. What do you guys think?
So when we were watching the Cowboys game right now, they called the delay game real quick on Daniel Jones. I don't know if you guys picked up on that in the fourth quarter, and I was kind of shocked because normally they have the rule where the ref's watching the clock, it turns 0, then he looks to see if the ball snapped, and then they blow the whistle. I felt like they blew the whistle really quick on Daniel Jones when it, like, as soon as it hit 0, they blew it, and I was like, wow, they blew that quick. And my dad was like, no, if that was Tom Brady, definitely would have called that for delay game. And I was like, well, last night they did call Tom Brady for delay game. And I mean, I think if they don't get that delay game, I think that they end up tying the game, and I think the Bucks end up winning the game in overtime. It just huge little mistake right there, and you can see it in Tom's face afterwards. It just
Right.
cost them a big game. You know, they needed that win to probably secure what would probably be home field advantage in the playoffs.
They did have the momentum going their way, definitely at the end of the game. Um, but do you think? I mean, we've talked about it before, with like the early struggles in the season don't always translate to like the rest of the seasons how it's going to go. But do you guys think Tom Brady's struggling right now with his offense? You think that's kind of a preview of what's to come later on, or is that defense good enough to carry the Bucks?
Well,
Nah,
is
his O
it
line is struggling, man.
Right. Go ahead, OC.
O line? He didn't have Mike Evans, right? He didn't have
Mm-hmm.
some of his top targets, right? But the question I want to ask is: it more of like atrocious offense or just really good defense?
Could be a little bit of both. I mean, it could be a little bit that maybe Brady doesn't have the timing that he normally has with his receivers because he's playing with a lot of
Because I
brand new
mean,
guys, right?
Rogers only scored what, 2 touchdowns? They just
Right.
had 14
Mm-hmm.
points.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of games this weekend that just it looked offensively just looked sluggish,
Mm-hmm.
terrible. It's
Very
just
defensive week.
yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
you see a lot of like just low scores, you know.
Why
But
do you guys think
I
that
mean,
is? Do you guys think like you said, is it just really good defense? I mean, defensive coordinators are preparing better, or is it just atrocious offense? What do you guys think?
I I've seen a lot of games that it just seems like the defenses are just swarming around. I mean, I,
Mm.
as you guys know, I'm high on the Cowboys defense. The
Mm-hmm.
Bucks defense looks like they are the best defense in the NFL. The Eagles defense is flying around. The
Right.
Broncos defense looks good. The Niners defense looks good. A lot of defensive teams look really really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just seems like with 3 preseason games, I think it's easier for the defensive guys to get things kind of comfortable and
Right.
going than the offense right now. The offense across the board in the NFL, I think, is looking a little slow, and I just think it's because the defenses are playing really well right now.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I like that point that you made. That maybe just because of the lack of preseason, some of these offenses are out of tune, and they're just kind of just like trying to get their feet going or trying to get their timing down. And it's yeah, like you said, it's so much easier for a defense to you know to get everything going because you kind of understand the scheme or you kind of scheme from week to week versus an offense that has to have perfect timing and everything down. What do you think, OC?
yeah, like you said, the defense has the advantage because they all they have to do is pretty much just tackle and fill gaps and fly
Right.
around. Whereas an offense, it's predicated on timing. It's predicated on precise route running. It's
Mm-hmm.
precise. It's dependent on the kind of looks you get on defensively, whether it's a zone or it's a man, and at
Mm-hmm.
that point, it's just like, do you have the dudes to do it?
Right.
And there's teams that are already suffering injuries early on where they don't have their top tier guys that are able to get the separation or to be the
Mm-hmm.
guy, you know. So the defenses are taking full advantage of it right now.
It's such a brutal sport, dude. It's like it's a miracle that anybody stays relatively healthy, right, through an entire career. And like we saw, what was it, Shepard earlier? He pretty much just tore his ACL, right? Like that's what it looked like. He was
Yeah,
just
non-contact, dude.
he's just running down the field, and then it didn't even look like he was going full speed, and then
He
just
wasn't
popped.
going full speed.
Right? That's crazy. Same thing
Mm-hmm.
happened with Odell, right, in the Super Bowl, where he was just just running around over the middle, tries to maybe probably make a little turn with his foot, and then just pops. That's crazy how anybody can stay healthy in the NFL. It's insane. Um, Watch next week. There's gonna be like 50 points, a game. It's gonna go
It's
off.
all offense next
Yeah,
week.
dude. Like that's the NFL, man. You get
Yeah,
opposites. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the next week's games. Let's take a swing at these picks. Let's go the Thursday night game, Dolphins and Bengals. Uh, I'm going Dolphins. Pretty safe to say. Do you think?
Yeah.
that injury report was freaking loaded for Miami today. But granted, with that, I'm just riding the wave. I'm gonna keep rolling with Miami until proven otherwise.
Drew.
If you're Miami, you can't tie the 1972 team by winning every game if you don't win this one. So I'm gonna keep rolling with Miami. They're hot right now. I like it.
No, yeah, that one's gonna be interesting to see because the shorter week and especially the game that the Dolphins had, and then we'll see what comes out of the investigation with Tua and the concussion protocol stuff, and I don't think there's gonna be anything that comes out of that. Do you guys think?
Slap on the wrist, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
Uh,
If anything.
no, I don't think. If anything, what they're gonna take away more draft picks.
Right.
They're gonna give the Niners their first rounder back or what?
Yeah. Let's
Hey,
go ahead.
Niners
Let's
could use that first rounder right now.
We could use a lot. We could use a lot of things right now. Let's go ahead. Let's go to the Chiefs and the Bucks. The young goat versus the old goat. Who you guys got? OC.
This game might end up being played in Miami's home stadium Sunday night because they
Right,
have
because of
'cause of
the
hurricane?
hurricane. Right.
the hurricane. The Bucks are moving down to the Dolphins facility like Wednesday to go practice. So I don't know. Both teams are coming off a tough loss. They both lost. Uh, Chiefs lost to the Colts, and then Tampa just lost to Green Bay. Uh, I don't know. I guess I'll go with the Chiefs. That's a toss up for me.
It's a toss up. Drew.
I'm gonna go with the quarterback that wasn't arguing with his offensive coordinator um, during last week's game. I'm gonna go with Tom Brady and the Bucks. I think they bounce back after a win. I don't know when the last time Tom lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah, like OC said, man. Because one thing in the NFL is like I think OC has brought it up before is like a team will always play the opposite from the way they played the week before, right? So one week they can, they play terrible and then they have a bounce back week. And I feel like both these teams need a bounce back week because they both lost close games. Um, I think I'm gonna go with the Bucks on this one. I feel like just because of the Bucks defense, I feel like their defense has Mahomes' number because they can take away a lot of the things that he likes to do, and I feel like that's probably gonna give him a little bit of an edge, not a big time edge, but it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a close game. I'll take the Bucks, and let's go the Monday night game: Rams versus Niners. I'll see who you got.
Hopefully, the Rams can finally figure out how to beat the Niners in
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco. So I'm gonna go Rams.
Drew,
I'm gonna go Rams also.
you go Rams. For some reason, Kyle Shanahan always has McVay's number, in his right in his back pocket. For some reason,
Who won the last head-to-head matchup though?
that's true. In LA, I'll give you
But
that.
it's,
Another close game.
San Francisco, it's a different story.
In
Levi
Santa
Stadium
Clara.
South. Isn't that what they were calling it? Levi Stadium South.
It was split down the middle. I think in both games that they played in LA, where you can see like a sea of red and like a sea of blue. Like it's always mixed.
Like
Because
Bloods and Crips.
yeah, right. But I'm still gonna roll with the Niners. I can't do it. Anything else you guys want to add, or I think that's about it for today.
But
Real quick,
Go ahead.
from the teams that are 1 and 2 from the NFC, pick a
Mhm.
team that'll make the playoffs. So you got Carolina, San Francisco, Detroit, New Orleans, Atlanta, Washington, Seattle, or Arizona.
San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah, because I think they have the
Maybe
weapons
Arizona.
and they have the weapons and the pieces around to carry them through, even with poor quarterback play and especially that defense, the way they fly around. Every other team, man, it's just Carolina doesn't have much. Maybe New Orleans,
I was gonna say
maybe.
maybe New Orleans. That's the one
Yeah,
I would say
They
in the
have no
NFC.
quarterback. That I mean,
But they have a
they need
defense.
they have
they
a
need
defense.
a quarterback
Yeah.
just as bad as the Niners do. I
Yeah.
mean, both of those teams, the Saints and the Niners, could be so good if they had
Mhm.
a quarterback. Like
All
that's
right, and
that's
they,
what that's
what
all they're missing.
what one win team in the AFC? Because we got a couple like 1-1-1s. So you got Indy,
Mhm.
Tennessee, the Jets, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Chargers, and winless Houston and winless Vegas. Which one makes a run?
Hmm.
I think the Colts.
I think I'm gonna go with the Chargers because of
Oh, I
Justin
really like
Herbert. And I know they took a big loss this weekend against the Jaguars. What was it, like 38-10, which
Yeah, straight.
that was surprising to me. But I think eventually the Chargers can maybe just turn it around. Because they have a defense. They have guys on the defensive side who can make plays, but for some reason they just haven't been performing as good as a lot of people thought they would. Maybe just gotta scheme it better, put it all together, and then of course, well, they have Justin Herbert, who I think is probably maybe top four, top five quarterback in the league right now. Hey, I think he's up there, man.
I
What do you guys
think I'm
think?
gonna go with. Oh, to add to what you said, they just lost their left tackle today for the season.
Oh shit, that
Ooh,
that makes it tough.
R-
that
Rashawn
changes things a
Slater,
little bit.
That's not good.
he tore his biceps, so he's done.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I did see that.
So then I would probably go Tennessee just because they got on a roll last year. So I think they can find that juice again if they just get the ball to Henry and kind of just
Mm,
milk games out.
maybe. And Drew, you're sticking with the Colts.
Uh, yeah, I think so. I think they play in a pretty easy division. They can finally wake up, and Matt Ryan knows what he's doing. I'm just waiting for that wheels to finally start turning for those guys, and they'll figure it out. Give the ball to Jonathan Taylor some more. How about that?
Drew, I think your internet disagreed with you, man, because you completely cut out. Well, your audio is still good, but your visual
Oh,
is
can
completely
you not
done.
see me?
Nah.
Well, that sucks.
I mean, oh, whatever. You want to go ahead and just close it out, man? We can't see you, so maybe the
Sure.
pressure's off.
No pressure this time for me to fuck it up.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
right. Anything else, guys? Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Nah, I'm good, man.
Trust and rush. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for giving us a little listen. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button, and catch us next week, and we can tell German how he was wrong by picking the Niners.
We'll see. We'll see.